Hello and welcome to this video about using Paperclip. And Paperclip is actually an open source project that allows you to set up multiple agents and then they can work together. For example, you can set up a CEO, CMO and CTO, and each of these people have, or bots better, have their unique skills, and you can make sure that they work together and just give them a goal and they will work as a team towards it. Obviously, you can also approve certain aspects. And the easiest way that I found was to go to a railway, and they actually have a landing page dedicated to Paperclip. And from there, I just clicked on deploy now and followed the steps. And it's actually quite easy to get started. It will take some time, but after a while you will see this overview. And it's important when you set things up that you immediately get a Claude API key. They will ask you for it when you set it up. And you can go to Anthropic console better and set up an API key there, and once you have this, you just copy paste it and add it in the setup process of Paperclip, and then things should move forward quite easily. They also have a very convenient agent where you can ask questions if you're stuck, and is generally quite helpful. So far, Railway has been cheap to host my Paperclip company, so the main expense has been actually the credits for Anthropic, so the AI system. And as you can see, once you've created your company, you will come into this dashboard. And currently I have 3 agents in this company. I have a CEO, a CTO, and also a product researcher. And what's really essential is that you provide them with a clear goal, and you can also provide sub-goals. And it's really important that you think this through, otherwise you will spend credits on useless things that are not useful. So make sure that you think about the goals, because your agents will start working towards it. And if you didn't think it through, they might do stuff that are off topic or that you didn't want to begin with. So definitely set a clear goal. Once you have done that, your CEO can hire multiple agents, and then you can connect them between each other and give them tasks. And giving a new task is clicking here on new issue. Then you just type what you want. For example, find me new product based on the criteria. And then you can actually assign it to the relevant agents, and then the agent goes from there. They obviously have a cool dashboard where you can see the outputs. And what's really important to monitor, especially when you set up a lot of agents, is actually the costs, because as you set the goal, the agents will just try to find a way to achieve that, and in some instances this can become very expensive. So especially if you're using Claude, it's important to select the right models that are cheaper to avoid a bill shocker. Some of these models can be expensive to run, and the agents might run multiple at the same time. And it's also important to set a budget for each agent, and this will allow you to make sure that the agents don't go over it. I would also set some limits in the Anthropic API system, because I've noticed that in my Paperclip system, the budget is updated slower than in Anthropic. And if we would just follow the Paperclip budget, you might overspend. So definitely make sure that you have several fallback systems in case something goes wrong and you don't overspend. The cool thing is that each agent is set up with the different skill sets, and you can provide them instruction and make sure that they work together properly. Something new that we're working on is also routines, and this is for recurring work. For example, if you need a report every single month, and then you can see the results of what your team is working on the inbox and the dashboards, and go from there. I think they will still need to make it more visual what is being done by the agents. For example, a Kanban board or something you can clearly see what's going on, because especially if you have more and more agents, it can be quite confusing to see what happens. The CEO might start up several projects just to reach the goal, and yeah, it's sometimes important to keep track of everything. Obviously, you can set up certain aspects. For example, you can approve that a new agent is being spun up, or make sure that your CEO doesn't burn too much credits. So I think overall it's a very interesting project because you can combine multiple skills, and agents will work quite autonomously towards the goal. But the challenge is to keep the credit expense in check and make sure that the agents are actually working towards the goal you want. Because if your goal is too broad, they will just veer off into other directions and spend all their credits on useless stuff. The cool thing is that you can have multiple companies at the same time. So just add another company and work on different projects. And I think it really has a lot of potential because you can create complex organizations from CEO, product researcher, CTO, and then go from there. So definitely a lot of cool stuff happening because the agents are working very on their own, so they can achieve complex goals, and you can add more and more skills as you go along. So my recommendation would be to start small, keep an eye on your credits, switch to a cheaper model if needed, and go from there. So definitely recommend taking a look at Paperclip. They will probably host it themselves, so you won't have to use any company anymore that hosts the service for you. But so far the hosting has been cheap and it's set up well. So I think Paperclip has been quite straightforward to set up, even as someone who does not have a ton of experience with setting up these systems. Obviously there's a lot of trial and error involved, but it's a magical experience to see your agents go and find a way to move towards the goal. So that's a quick look at Paperclip. Thank you for watching, have a wonderful day ahead, and see you in the next video.